Hi, everyone. It's Tim with Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau, and I'm here today with Jenny from Jack W. Jenny, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I didn't pronounce your last name because I don't know how to pronounce it. So what's your last name, Jenny?
That was perfect. Well, you didn't say it, but in my brain, you said it right. It's Wick, Jenny Wick. So the T is silent.
Got it. Thank you. So T is silent. Jenny Wick. And then I mispronounced everything about you. I've been calling your store Jackwa for a long time, and then someone it's not how it's pronounced. So could you tell me what's the name of your store?
The name of the store is Jack W. So it's Jack without a C. And the name Jack W came from my maiden name. So my middle name is Ann. So it's Jenny Ann Kirscher Wick. So Jack W.
Got it. That makes a lot more sense because I thought Jackwa was an interesting French take on something. I'm like, maybe I didn't quite catch it. So it
kind of sounds like a Star Wars character.
Yeah, it does. I love it. Yeah. Hey, you know what? We're talking about pivoting, so this will be perfect because the home design doesn't work out. So Jen, you were recently featured in PayPal's like a newsletter for other businesses describing how you had to transition your business model and how you've been doing it during the pandemic. Before we get into that, can you tell me what your store and business was before March 2020 so people know who you are?
Sure. So we've been in the Bay Area since 2009, and what we really focus on is providing sustainable furniture and design resources to designers in the Bay Area. And the way that we operated before March was really through interpersonal relationships with designers. So we would go into the design studio and talk to them about their projects and look at their floor plans and share material samples, really hands-on, because design is about material. It's a very tactile thing. So when COVID hit, it really made us question how we were connecting with our clients and how we could continue providing the services that we did in a totally different way.
And that's interesting because design is about space, right? It's physical space, and obviously being in a physical space and the light and what it looks like, what it feels like, totally changed. At the same time, you had opened up, and I can't remember if it was right before COVID hit. You opened up a retail shop here on the Sonoma Plaza, a couple steps off the Sonoma Plaza. So was the plan for that to be a retail walk-in shop for just people walking by, or was it like a place for us to sell, your design services? What was your goal when you opened that on such great timing?
It's interesting. So we opened up our Sonoma space in June of 2019 and closed a couple times. There were a few fires that year that I'm sure everybody remembers quite vividly. And then in November, we opened up a space at the Design Center. So the space on the Sonoma Square was really meant to bring a lot of our favorite smaller objects to the consumers here in Sonoma. We found that there's a lot of consistency with our priorities around the natural environment and Sonoma's priorities with wanting to live closer to the earth and enjoy kind of this farm to table lifestyle that we're so lucky to live. So we thought that there might be people in Sonoma who would appreciate having access to some of these really unique and special objects that we've sourced from all over the world. So this shop was really kind of meant to bring Jack W to Sonoma in a way that everybody could kind of find a way to approach it and appreciate it, whether they're a designer or just a person here on vacation or somebody who lives here.
Right, yeah, because someone who's just on vacation might not hire a San Francisco-based designer for something back in Chicago, but they might leave with a giga or something interesting that they picked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So then, Jen, let's flash forward. March, April, it becomes very clear that you're not going to be going into clients' houses. Maybe you're not going to be having the foot traffic that you thought you were going to have. So you had to rethink what you were going to do, right? And then how you're going to do it. What I liked about the PayPal article about you says, there's kind of 7 things that you did. One of which was pivot your resources, right? You wrote on there that you went from in-person, maybe even going to the person's house and understanding more about it, to an online store. And then you had to have everybody help you build a website. So did you just do that all yourself, or how did you get people like, okay, guys, change your frame of mind? How did you do that?
Well, it was a very interesting time, and I will say that as a business owner, I think everybody can relate to this feeling of uncertainty and kind of fear around COVID. It was a very unique time because nobody really knew what was happening or how long it was going to last. And so forecasting and preparing for the unknown is really difficult as a business owner. It wasn't like a typical recession where you knew that it would go on for a certain period of time. I don't know if everyone remembers, but at the beginning, people were saying maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then we all go back to normal, right? So the problem when everything stopped, and for us, everything became full stop. Our clients, a lot of the big tech firms like Google and Facebook and Twitter and all of these companies that we had relied on for our business were now saying people don't need to come to work. And so every project we were working on was completely on hold. So I looked around and I had a team luckily, a very team of talented people. And the thought of letting go of anybody with this unknown looming in a small business like ours, where skills and knowledge and kind of the even just the camaraderie that we have is so critical to our success. My biggest focus was figuring out how we could maintain our team and get through this pandemic together. Getting through in one piece to the other side, I knew was going to be critical for our long-term success. So what I had to do was, bring everybody together. The number one thing was to make them feel secure. So we actually did quite a bit of team building in our free time. We had twice-a-week meetings that happened over virtual spaces just to make sure everybody was feeling okay and feeling safe. And then we even did like tarot reading cards sometimes, just fun things, to mix it up.
And then certainty from the other things, like what the heck? Let's see what the tarot.
Totally, it was like, yeah. Some people took turns. Like it wasn't always me. It was somebody would bring in something else, and we just whatever we could do to kind of lighten the mood and get through it. And then everybody kind of leaned into whatever skill they could apply to a different medium. So we are all, like you said, designers. We are used to working with people face to face. So how do we put that into a digital platform? So I knew that getting our product online was the first and foremost. I did a lot of reading about consumerism during this, and there's this initial sensitivity around not wanting to sell to people because you didn't know how people were being affected by it. And so changing the language up and really just trying to connect with our clients the way we were connecting with our team. Just making it fun. You're just checking in. How are you doing? Things like that. It was super important.
So, and that's good, because if you lost a lot of the momentum that your business had and a lot of the knowledge, right, you kind of, a phrase I use is vapor lock, like an old car phrase, everything stops, it seizes. You don't want that, because as you're making that pivot, you want to keep some of the energy and information and knowledge going in your business, you would see. So that seems like a good tip. So I like that. I like tarot card readings, because maybe I'll do that for budgeting next year. The next. Oh, go ahead.
It's great team building. Actually, you find out a lot about people. It's really fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe we can do palm readings by Zoom or something next.
Right. Little EST. What am I thinking about?
Exactly. No. Oh my gosh. I know. And the next thing you did is you built a website. You probably didn't have a very strong. I mean, you probably had a web presence, right? But like you mentioned, tactile, and you guys always have those big binders of fabrics and stuff. How did you build a website? You had to probably spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on it to get it up and going. Is that what you did?
No, we didn't. And the reason is because we didn't have that money. Every penny that I had during COVID went to paying salaries. That's exclusively where it went. It was to keep the team intact, because I knew that my biggest asset at the end of the day was my team. So everything went to that. We found a platform. I actually already started thinking about leaning into an online web store. I always say that, like, if COVID did anything, it took things that were already in play and just accelerated them. So, moving to an online platform, that was always something that we had kind of talked about, but it was on the back burner because we had so many other things going. All of a sudden, we had nothing but time and every incentive to figure out how to, reposition ourselves and connect with our clients. So, we had done a bunch of research. Shopify was the platform for us because they had so many different apps that we could attach to it. And I really wanted to find ways to have my different programs, like my QuickBooks and my quoting and my purchase orders, all kind of run through one program because I can't hire anybody else, right? So if I pay an app $20 a month to process all of my purchase orders for me, well, that's $20 well spent.
Right.
So, I invested in Shopify, spent about $160 on a pre-made platform, and then we started to plug in images, to change the font, do things to make it look like a Jack W brand, and we took it live. And we took it live as quickly as we could. I think that having...
You spent, hold on, $160?
$160, yes.
Oh.
And I had quotes for websites, 25,000, 30,000, branding. But again, like, this was a moment where you just had to make it work.
Okay.
So yeah, I spent $160 plus the Shopify fee, which I think you can have Shopify, starting at like $25 a month. And then it goes up from there depending on, how big of a bandwidth you need. And it is so intuitive.
No, hold on.
You can
Shopify pay you to say this? Because I know you're not like making commission every time you say Shopify, are you?
I wish.
I just want to clarify that for anybody watching.
I'm rescinding my monthly fee.
You did your research, you found that one. So it sounds like you just went through the process of like, I gotta get a good website. It's got different functionalities, like you mentioned, your purchase orders and your billing and stuff. You were able to quickly find a bunch of choices, and you found one that worked for you. And I like how you said you had your team, because you guys are visual people, make it Jack W, right? Because it probably off the shelf probably looks kind of standard or something like that.
Yes, exactly. And, we have a huge catalog. We have thousands and thousands of products. So what we also had to do was say, okay, I'm going to focus on the pieces that I think are the best and most critical to have visible now. We can get, all the other stuff in there for our designers who are looking for a really special kind of specific niche item. But right now I need the goods that I know are going to be the most critical to my business up first.
Right.
And then we worry about the rest of it. So we also had to kind of prioritize and brainstorm how best to move this through. And the other thing I would say I like about Shopify is I will tell you, I can basically turn my computer on and off, and that's about it. I am not a programmer by any means. And for a visual person like me, there's a drag and drop feature where I can take an image and drag it in and drop it into a little square, and then it populates, and then it will reformat itself. It's so intuitive that it's really, really easy. So if anyone's overwhelmed by the idea of bringing something online, I really like that feature about it. It makes it possible to really create a website as quickly as you want to.
Right. It's much more intuitive than it used to be, maybe even 5 years ago. Right. When maybe
for
people
sure.
This now, they thought, oh, website, I got to do this. I think having quick templates and it's really easy is a good advantage. Quick segue to that. You have this website. You mentioned another thing is that you wanted to reflect the values of your customers and yourself on the front page. Sort of like, this is how I think of like, classic retail. The front window is sort of like to catch your eye and get you to go deeper. How did you do that with your website and kind of, here we are, we're at home, we're kind of scared. It's May. This thing was supposed to be over by Easter. What's going on? What did you do on your website, or what did you do for your marketing to kind of do that?
This goes back to that comment that I made earlier about not wanting to necessarily sell to people during a time when you don't know what people are going through. And we really wanted to be sensitive to that. So the last thing I wanted to do was like put up a bunch of splash pages and really kind of drive home this marketing effort. So during May was when George Floyd happened, and We had, political unrest on top of COVID. So there's this additional layer of stress that was kind of piled on. And so, I find that, if we're going to look at like, what are the upsides to a situation like COVID, or what's the upside to being at the bottom? Well, it's really hard to imagine getting any lower. So the risk reward changes quite a bit. So for me, I thought, well, this is a moment in my career where I can really decide everything's going to be for me about passion. And I'm going to stop following the textbook so literally and really make it more about what matters to me and my team. And if I offend people by, donating to a program or an organization like the ACLU, well, you know what? It matters to me. And, c'est la vie. This is it's now or never. And so we started making that a priority for our business, which is something that I'd always wanted to do, but, quite honestly had feared alienating people or making them feel like we were, a really kind of politically organized retail design outlet, which all, like, you even say it and it sounds strange, but you know what, if COVID has taught you anything, it's all about relationships and about passion, about people, and about quality of life. So we just leaned into it. So we committed to donating a portion of our proceeds to certain organizations that either we or the team found to be important and critical, and we made it known on our website that that's who we are.
That's good. No, I like, well, hey, it's your initials on the store, right? So it's sort of like you decided to live not the brand just of your store, but of who you are. And then people like that, and they feel that you're a real person, right? So it's like you're expressing who you are through your business, and you're putting it right out there. So I think that's a good thing. And besides, in the town of Sonoma, when you get two people from Sonoma together, you can have three conflicting opinions. So that's just how we roll. I don't think you have any problem having an opinion in this town or expressing an interest.
Okay.
Something else I think you put on there is that you said use imagery as a way to sell. You're in the design firm world. You get a lot of images. So does a business that like sells ice cream, do they need to spend a bunch of money to hire a professional photographer to come in and do a big shoot? Or how can they do that in such a way that's, ice cream level budget?
Yeah, this is what is so amazing about technology right now. There is so much available to people. You do not have to spend a ton of money on a photographer. There are a couple photo stock websites where you can sign up for a very minimal membership and get access to more images than you would ever need in a month. So Adobe Photo Stock is one, Getty Images is another. And you can search any sort of topic you want. So if you want to put an inspiring image of somebody laying out in a grassy field because that's your mood for the day, and you want to, make people feel the warm sunshine in Sonoma, you can find that. Right. If you want to find a picture of an ice cream cone, you can find that. And it's edited and it's ready to go and oftentimes available in multiple colors. So I would do something like that. That is, we still use that today. It's a wonderful resource.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't need to, a product shot is also good, but oftentimes you could be selling the feeling that you think people will get when they use your business, your service, your product. And certainly car companies have been doing this for years, when every time they fill out at the coast and at the end of the day, it's a Toyota Camry, right? I mean, they come out of vending machines basically, but it looks beautiful and you think it's so exciting. And so you're selling that. So
absolutely. And, right now, consumers are so savvy. They, again, accelerating the pipeline. If somebody wasn't shopping online before COVID, they certainly are now, because they have to find toilet paper and asparagus and, a new pair of pants. So it's, people are becoming more and more comfortable online. And when you do that, you realize how many options there are. And so people are making choices based on passion and interest more than ever, because, let's be honest, there are a million sofa options out there. So why is somebody going to buy a sofa from me? Well, hopefully it's because it's non-toxic, it's good for you, it's beautiful, and you like working with Jack W. because we're nice people, right? But, that's the reason why they would come to us versus go to, another big brand or somebody else. So somehow you have to figure out how to capture their attention and to help them understand how they're going to feel when they engage with you, because it's not the first time or the second time or the third time they see you. It's going to be the sixth or seventh time. So you have to build a relationship with people that you don't even know you're building a relationship with.
Okay, and that's the perfect segue to your next point, which I love. Thank you. You texted people. Like you must have gotten, you know, an opt-in, we call them opt-in, email address, phone number, old style address. So it sounds like you literally texted people, like to their phones, or did you email them?
I did, but I want to be really clear. It was not like the kind of text that people are getting now where somebody's spamming. What we're doing is I'm communicating with clients that I already have a relationship with who have given me their phone number to say it's okay that, you know, we communicate in this way. So yeah, we would text. Like we had, you know, one thing that we did at the very beginning was how do we engage with our clients? Like we're people, and we're all trapped and stuck, and other people that we work with are people, and they want to see us too. But, you know, I'm not going to endanger anybody's life just to make sure we can have a glass of champagne. And so how do we create a safe environment where we can all just, I don't know, take a moment and connect? And so what we did was we created an event. It was a private showing. We reached out to one of our clients and we said, and it was through text. Sometimes it was a phone call. I really like the personal touch, especially now when we're all just kind of like sitting in front of the computer constantly. And I said, I would love to invite you into my space. It's going to be just you and up to 4 of your friends that you can invite. And it's just going to be us, and we're going to look at art, and we're going to sip champagne through a straw under our masks, and we're going to hang out for 2 hours and just talk. There's no expectation. There's no nothing. So yes, in those situations, I'm texting. Sometimes I would have like if people paid me with Venmo, I would kind of communicate back with them, just little things, because we're all craving human connection.
Right.
You know, it's just like, how do I just connect with people?
Yeah, and I've heard often, you know, build the list, work the list, and that's kind of like that's a crude way a marketer would say it, but it's like when people use your service or buy from your business, and you kind of make that connection, you don't let that connection go, right? And even, you know, for you, it might be like, oh, you know, the holidays are coming up. Here's some stuff. Here's my favorite color palette for the table, or something like that. You might not even be selling something, but you're the kind of person that does something that I don't, which is you think of that sort of stuff, because I do it at the last second, like crap, what should I do now? So it's like, oh, that's I know this lady named Jen, and she's so nice, and she gave me a little bit of information, and now things are going to look better, right? So you built that relationship. And
yes, totally. That is so important. I think that you, sometimes what you have to do is turn off that desperation, which was very, very hard to do during COVID. So if you're a business owner and you're saying, how can I not worry about my bottom line? I worried about it 100% of every single day. So I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is when you're connecting with people, sometimes you have to forget about trying to make that sale and just try and find the humanity in what you're doing. And then the rest of it just follows. And it might not follow immediately, but it will follow, because goodwill is, it's priceless.
That's a good point. Good point. Let's talk a little more about on social media. You have been active and I think investing in not only the free social media, but maybe paid social media to get your message out there. Are you big on like Pinterest or Instagram, or I imagine Reddit is not that big. It's not very visual medium. So where are you guys putting your focus?
No. So we really put our focus on Pinterest. Pinterest is another platform that we had maybe underutilized before COVID hit, because we really had such strong relationships with our clients. So our pipeline was always kind of turning over just through our natural connections. So Pinterest was another way that we could get our wares in front of our clients, and also know that if they were on Pinterest, they probably had projects. And so it was almost like a safe way for us to connect with them without pushing things in front of them. So our Pinterest went from, I think we had like 100,000 views within 3 weeks of posting everything on Pinterest. It was just insane how quickly that grew. So
did you put your entire product line on Pinterest? Is that you essentially made it a catalog?
We did. So we put our catalog online, which Shopify, sorry, but Shopify, you can call me. So Shopify has a link with Pinterest. So they will actually just put all of your product on there automatically. You don't have to do a thing except engage the app.
And does it basically take your descriptions over and everything? Like it?
Everything. And then it links the product back to your website. I know, right?
Okay, so that's cool, because I know I go on Pinterest to be shamed by other people's gardening abilities. And I look at my zinnias and I'm like, ah. But to use it as a sales thing is really smart, especially because you are in a visual, you sell a visual thing there. What about like Facebook and Instagram? Has that been useful for you, or is that not as productive?
We do use Facebook and Instagram. We use Instagram more. We have done advertising through Facebook and Instagram. It is a very inexpensive way to advertise. And you can get very specific on your demographics. So if you just want to target people in Sonoma who are interested in gardening, you can be very specific about that. And so the cost to advertise through it is very minimal. And I would say Instagram is a really great way just to create kind of familiarity with your brand and brand recognition. I think it depends really what kind of product you're selling and whether you find success with that kind of like click-through impulsive purchase. I know we've all done it. People, believe it or not, aren't impulse purchasing sofas or dining tables. But
don't do that because you're going to be disappointed. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless it's with us, because then you'll be very happy. But but what it did do is people would come in because they saw us through Instagram or Facebook, and then they would want to know more about us. And so it helped kind of introduce us to the Sonoma community, which we were still really new to. I mean, to this day, people still walk in and ask us if we just opened. Right. So that is a really important part of kind of getting your brand out. I also think, Google has ways that you can increase your tagging and your search capabilities without actually paying for that service. So that's, I think, important if you're online and you want to be searchable. Yelp is a big one for companies, not so much for us, but I really think like being in the social world is really important. I think you just have to figure out who your customer is, and then you have to backtrack it and figure out what they're doing.
And kind of communicate to them in the way they're ready to be communicated. Yeah, that makes sense.
That relates to them, exactly.
Well, the last thing you had on there, which I really like, and I think it applies to everyone in the business, was be optimistic. So how are you optimistic, and how do you stay optimistic? Because you pick up the newspaper and I always think, what fresh hell is this? And so like what is your secret? Is it yoga? Is it running? Is it just lots of caffeine? Tell us how to do
that. Lots of caffeine first, always. Martinis at night, caffeine in the morning.
That's right, the cycle.
Yes, exactly. It was really difficult. It has been very difficult. I would say I did a lot of meditating. I did a lot of positive manifesting. I did a lot of kind of soul searching about this moment in time. Up until March, we were running super, super fast. And I had all of these things that I had set as goals for the company that I had taken a back burner. Things like, developing a product line for Jack W, or working on creative stuff, even knitting, like little things that I just needed for my soul. And I said, okay, if there's ever a time that I can lean in and pivot business and turn it into whatever I want, it's now, because if it doesn't work, I mean, I have no other option, right? I have nothing to lose at this point. And so that made it exciting for me to think, okay, well, maybe this is a moment in time where like the pressure has been pulled off just a little bit. So if I can make it through, then it'll be all worth it. And the other thing that really gave me hope was my team. My team is so enthusiastic, so positive. They really leaned in without question. More than once, people said to me, we will do whatever you need us to do to get through this, and we understand, you know, whatever you need to do to make sure Jack W is on the other side of this. And to me, you know, having a business, and I know other business owners feel this way, it's just about me, and it's not just about Jack W. It's about the team, and it's about their families, and it's about, you know, all of these other people that are kind of involved, our manufacturers who depend on us. And I was really committed to getting through it, and having that support and that encouragement really helped motivate me. I don't think I could have done it without them.
Very good. I like that. So I heard, you know, sort of like, not the word desperation, but desperation is inspiration, in the sense that you had to do something. You had no choice, but that gave you some freedom actually to be optimistic and look forward, that's kind of a neat little spin on it. And it's sort of again, I know you mentioned the tarot cards was having fun, but it seems like the core of it was having some fun, recognizing how serious it was. But like, no, now's the time to get to work, and I'm going to try it. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to try something else. You know, that seems like made you successful. So that's fantastic. Jen, this is perfect. What I'm going to do is I'll put the link to the article, if that's okay, from PayPal's blog or something on there, and hopefully they'll pay you too. If people want more information about you, these are, you know, business people here in Sonoma Valley and anywhere else they're watching this. Where is your store, and what is your website?
Okay, so our store is located on First Street West, right next to the Red Grape. Our store is called Jack W again. We have a website. It's jak-w.com. And you can go on there and find links through to our Pinterest, our Instagram. We also have a social media for our design side. So we offer design services. It's Jack W Designs. So we are in the web. If you search for us. And then if you want to connect, our store is open in San Francisco from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're at the Design Center. And then for all of our designers who have relocated to Sonoma, you are in good company. There are a lot of us here now. And our store here is open from 10 to 5 during the week, and then on Saturday from 11 to 4, and then by appointment. So we love to connect with the community, and we're super happy to be here in Sonoma, and hopefully looking forward to a really fun holiday season and some brightness and some lightness ahead.
Oh, that'll be happening on the plaza, so stand by. It'll happen. So.
Oh, good.
Well, Jen, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see more of you around the plaza, and we wish you success with everything. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.